along with Janice and Robert today about our trip. We're going to tell you a little bit about who went and where we stayed and what we did while we were there and what the worship services are like in Cuba and what Cuba life is like. First of all, we ended up with a group of 12. We were supposed to have 14, but a couple people backed out and switched out because of what was going on in the world at the time, which I personally didn't appreciate. But a little anxiety about the trip, but it worked out fine, and we had no issues coming or going. They did let us back. So we had 12 people. There were a total of 4 pastors on the trip, so we were in good hands. 3 were active pastors, and 1 was retired. The pastor that led it was Cliff Schroeder, and he is a presiding elder for the Southeast Michigan District, so he was at our church conference. If you had come to that, you would have met him. And also with him at our conference was Brian Johnson, and he's also a pastor, and he was here at the conference. Very nice people. And then, let's see, Brian is pastor of Revive Church GMC in Howell. Todd Jones is pastor of Living Water Church in Oxford. And retired pastor Carl Black lives on the west side of the state. And so most of the other people came from the Holly area, and then us 3. We stayed at a church property in a peninsula off the north coast of Cuba called Varadero. And it's a big resort area. They say the beaches are beautiful, but it wasn't as built up as I would have expected a resort area to be. There were a couple hotels that were very nice and modern, but other than that, there were a lot of houses where people would maybe rent out other half of their houses, like an Airbnb kind of deal. But it was a very nice area. The church property we were on, it was not a church we were associated with necessarily with where we were visiting, but they had attached dorm rooms, so very Spartan, very plain dorm rooms for us to stay in. And we had most of our meals there. They had a kitchen staff that would come cook us breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the most part. The property was about 2 blocks from the beach, which was wonderful. And I gotta say, when I got there, I had concerns about safety, because they were saying, oh, it's 100% safe. Well, no place is 100% safe. Very skeptical. But even I felt safe. I would go out on the beach by myself. I would go out at night and walk by myself. Totally safe. I felt completely at ease being there, so that was really nice. And the beach was beautiful. And the water, oh, the colors, beautiful. What we did on Tuesday, we got up at a horrible time of the morning and got to the airport. We flew Detroit to Miami to Havana. Once we got to Havana, we got on the bus, and our bus driver took us on a little tour of the city. We didn't get out of the bus, but we just kind of saw some sights. We saw the Capitol building. There were some ruins there, a lot of political murals and things like that, statues. After that, we had to drive 2.5 hours east along the north coast to get to Varadero, where we were staying. And in the middle, we stopped at a cafe, I guess, a little roadside cafe, and had lunch there. And if you see the pictures of us by the beach and the palm trees, we were just so happy to be in that weather. It was beautiful. So we got there, got settled. We had our dinner there, and then we kind of got organized. Then the next day, Wednesday, we went to a Pastor Bartolo's farm. It was about maybe 40 minutes away. We went there to do some work. We divided up into groups. Janice and I were part of the group that worked hoeing the ground. The ground was very rocky, so we were clearing weeds so that they could plant a garden plot in that location. Robert, he was working with building. You want to tell him what you were doing?
Well, I help trowel. They get blocks of material from sites that are tore down by the government, and they have to get permits to take the old blocks and all the actually debris. So they take the debris, everything, and they separate it. We had sifters and separated different sizes of the grain, and it's actually mortar, because mortar only hardens to a certain hardness, so it can be reused. They reuse it. Then they take the bigger stones and they crush them, and that's what they mix with whatever concrete or whatever, how they make their lye and stuff, to do their flooring, everything, and the blocks. So we were doing, they already had the wall up, I was troweling the coating to go over it, stucco if you wanna call it, so they can paint it, so it looks good. So that's what I was doing. Then we ran out of material and I went and painted some that was already done.
Tell them how they do the paint.
So it sounds like they do a lot of serious recycling.
Absolutely.
Everything,
They throw out
nothing there goes to waste, nothing.
How do they afford all those classic cars that we see?
Those cars, well, you're looking in,
That was my question.
mostly in Havana. They have a few in the areas where you were staying in their taxis. And they actually convert those from gasoline to diesel, because diesel is a low-grade refined product. Here, they charge more for it because it's in demand. There, it's cheap, so everything's diesel there. Or horse and buggy or a bike, you'll see those in the picture.
Another good thing about when they were painting, what they were working on at this farm was he's created a church. He's a pastor. He's got this church that's growing quite a bit, and they're building this building, and they're making a lot of progress on it. So that was what Robert was working on. But when they paint, they even water down the paint to make
Yeah.
it go further.
Even when the can's empty, they water it down and it's like whitewash. They don't use any thick, and I try to explain to them, the thicker it is, the longer it'll last. But they're just saying, no, too much money for a gallon, too much money for a gallon.
There's a
So they
funny
make
joke-
10 gallons out of that gallon.
There's a funny joke about thinning paint, because it doesn't work, and it says, repaint and thin no more.
Exactly. So, so they're gonna do what they do, and, everything there is getting materials is a long out process, because, as Brian knows, a couple of you that have worked with me, I tried to explain how to do some construction type things, projects, and well, that would take years to get that material to do that. And then we were on spreading the word of God is mainly what our mission was about. So we didn't do much hands-on working. We complained, we did as much as they would let us, because the government, you still gotta go under the radar with the government. Even though we went to government facilities, and they welcome us there because we're giving them inventory, supplies. And they take inventory of everywhere we went. Am I jumping ahead of you?
No, that's fine.
So, like our suitcases, we unloaded, and there's a picture in there, you'll see a room that each one of us took a whole suitcase or two. 'Cause me and Janice took 3 altogether. Our luggage, and half of our luggage was full of supplies, and then 2 full big cases. Ours plus 2.
Plus, everyone took 2 luggages, so
Ours
it was,
plus 2.
and then we leave all of that, we only brought 1 luggage home. And left the luggage, they use that for rolling supplies to wherever they need it. And everybody, the 12 of us, everyone brought 2 suitcases each, and most were left behind. And most were with clothes and supplies, and they had a whole list of things that they need, their needs, and many of you helped make that happen.
So while we were there, we also, you talk about hot. I like hot, but wow. It really wasn't that warm. I don't really know exactly how warm it was because we had no connection to the internet or the news or the outside world at all. So I was guessing it was maybe upper 70s, but it was very humid once you start working. So we were sweating like crazy. Anyway, we came in, they served us some Cuban coffee, very strong coffee, in looked like little almost teacups. That was
Like
nice.
espresso?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so Pastor Bartolo, he went and told us about his life story. And he had quite the story. He was abused as a child, grew up, rough upbringing. He ended up in the criminal justice system. He ended up being sentenced to life in prison. some miracle of God, he gave his life to Jesus and his record was expunged and he was released from prison. He became a pastor, he's extremely passionate, and so he was telling us his story, and it was very moving, very emotional. When we got back to our home base, we opened up all our suitcases, and like Robert said, we spread them out over that room. And I think that might have been one of the
Yeah, that was-
pictures. Yeah,
That's at the airport where
Oh,
where you
okay.
can see all the luggage. There's only 12 of us, and
yeah,
we had to pack it in that van. That's our suite.
yeah, very, very Spartan, but fine. It was clean, and
Yeah.
we were not complaining. Anyway, so we spread out all our suitcases. That was in the dining area where we ate, and so we opened up all our suitcases. And what got me is that they'd given us a list of things to bring, and you want to help everybody, and you want to bring everything on the list, but you just can't possibly. You only have so much space to load up your suitcase and bring things in. And so we opened up the suitcases, started going through everything, and there was such a perfect variety of everything we needed. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Wow. It was definitely a God thing, because every place we went, we had stuff to donate to each, and there were like no excessive duplicates or anything like that. It just worked out perfectly. It was really cool to see.
God is good.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All the
So
time.
Thursday we took the bus to Jovellanos, which is one of the main cities that we went to quite a bit. It was about 45 minutes away. And just a aside to that, the roads in Cuba are horrible. Hi, Mary. They have huge potholes. You think we have potholes? They've got giant potholes, and nobody's working to fix them.
Yeah.
And so the bus would be flying down the road, and then we'd slow down, go around the pothole, go around a horse and buggy, go around a bicycle. It was very different, but it was interesting to see the land around it. The land itself was fairly flat. In the middle of the country, you could see some low mountains, but we never went that far. We went to that church in Jovellanos. We sang and interacted with families who had children with disabilities. And some of the kids performed for us. They sang some songs. They were very cute.
This is Robert with the
There's Robert
material.
working and sifting. Yeah. It's definitely like going back in time. Anyway, Janice shared at the with the group, with the parents and grandparents with children with disabilities, and if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, it was special to me. Many of you know I had a child with special needs. So she lived to 18. This was a room full of moms and grandmas, and they just needed a word of encouragement. And I could feel that way because I understood where they were coming from. So it was really nice to give my story about Lauren and our granddaughter, who's 4, who has Down syndrome. And it was just, that was probably one of my highlights, because it was just nice to be among them, and knowing as a parent myself, the best word of advice you get from other parents who are in that situation. And my message was more about, we all have disabilities, some are outward, many are inward. And the next day I was able to meet up with these women again. You know, we became friends, we took pictures, we exchanged numbers. And, you know, the message again was, God does not make mistakes, and you are privileged to have these child. Love them like your own children. Your other children, they just are part of your world, and they have a purpose on earth. So that was wonderful to share that story among the parents that needed to hear that. So,
Did you have an interpreter?
yes, yeah. That was hard to do, because you say 3 words and then you stop and then they say, so keeping the story going was a little bit difficult. But
And just to give you an idea, you say 3 words, they say about 20.
yeah, right. Did I say that?
You heard what I say?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and very few people know English there. The couple of gentlemen that were with us on most of our trip were from the mission, and they spoke pretty good English. The one younger man, he was a little unsure, but by the end of the week he was doing really well. So they acted as interpreters, and then we were lucky enough that one of the ladies that joined our trip at basically 2 weeks before we left was a Spanish teacher. And so she was a great interpreter for us, so that really helped. But yeah, there's very little of English speaking, so like Janice said, it's kind of hard. You'd say a sentence, you'd have to pause, and then they say, you know, a paragraph.
Yeah, right.
And then you say a sentence, so it kind of took a while, but Janice did a great job, and they appreciated her, hearing from her. After we did that, we visited 3 houses to deliver rice and beans and to meet with the people. Sometimes we would go in the house, sometimes we wouldn't if the person was really sick, basically people that had disabilities at home. And we would take donations, we would pray with the family, and it was very nice. One little boy we visited, it was his birthday that day, so we got to wish him a Feliz Cumpleaños and give him some extra treats for that. One of the houses we went into, they had a elderly woman who had dementia very bad. Another mother had had a stroke. Another young man was living with his parents. He had been in a motorcycle accident and was confined to a wheelchair. But very upbeat. It was a pleasure meeting these people. They were very, very kind and very welcoming. On Friday, we went into the city again and by bus, and then we got in horse and buggies. We divided up into 2 groups and we delivered rice and beans to more families. And again, we were welcomed into their homes. They would show us around. One had a beautiful garden with actual orchids that were blooming beautifully. Even the chickens were pretty. So we really got to see how these people live. Their houses are very modest. In the city, they're kind of like adobe plaster, small, but you know, these people, they're happy. I mean, they're so poor, but yet they have a joy about them that is really encouraging to us too. We also visited a daycare center that of course is government run, and it was very nice. They had, you know how you have like toy kitchens for kids? Well, they can't just go out and buy those, so they make them. So they had constructed these little kitchens, and what cracked me up was in the refrigerator, they had a paper mache chicken.
They did. It was so cute.
Yeah.
And creative.
That was
Yeah.
incredible. The whole room was full of paper mache, the things like little tyke stuff, all done in paper mache.
And that
All
was,
of it.
that was a government facility.
Yeah, and it was just clean and bright
That's why they
and
had so much stuff.
beautiful. Yeah, yeah, really nice.
And, well, I was just gonna say, and when we visited, we were allowed to visit government facilities, with a limited of propaganda. But we had to ask permission if we could pray or take their pictures. If they gave us the permission, we could, sorry. And everybody did. They gave us, not one refused a prayer.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, backing up to Thursday, also we went back to Pastor Bartolo's farm and went to his church, and we had a 8 o'clock service, which 8 o'clock at night, I mean, it's dark in Cuba too, you know, but there were a lot of families and kids there. The place was jammed with people, and oh my gosh, are they exuberant. First of all, they start out with praise and worship, and they're singing, and they're not quiet. They're singing and they're clapping, and then they're out there jumping and dancing, and I've never danced in church, but I have now, because the pastor's wife dragged us up there, and so we were dancing around with the kids and everything, and it was very joyful. And then the pastor preached after that, and he's very intense, very emotional, and of course we had to have an interpreter, which kind of slowed things down, but it was really a joy to see how they worship there.
It was nice to see that it's full of kids, and these kids are in front of the altar and they are dancing. There was a little boy there, I think he could be 10,
If that.
and I feel like he could have his own church right now. You just saw the spirit in him. It was incredible what vibes he was giving off, and like he was just so righteous out there, and it's like, man, this little boy's gonna, share the God with everybody, because he was just so passionate up there. It was
He caught
incredible.
all our attention. We all
Yes.
couldn't stop staring at this little boy.
Yeah.
And just a heads up on the churches, they're packed, and people gotta walk to them.
Yeah.
They might get a truck, people get in the back of, and they'll drive them for 5 or 6 miles. Most of them horse or walk to church.
So what's the average walk for these people to come to church?
Couple miles.
Couple miles?
Because the churches cannot be on, like, you have to own property to even think of starting one.
Okay.
You can't do it on no government facilities or
And
anything.
so do you have to get permission from the government to purchase property? So just.
Well,
you
that
guys can
just
purchase
opened
it,
up,
right?
what did they say, 5 years ago?
Yeah. really
That
is.
now the government allows you to take mortgages. Before, if you were assigned a house, you died, I don't care if your family's there or not, you're out.
Really?
Whoever the government
Wow.
wants in there.
There was no
goes in.
inheriting anything.
Yeah, so now you can buy, if your parents buy the house, you have, not an inheritance, you still have to repurchase that, but you get the
The option to.
option with a mortgage, they do have mortgages now.
Huh.
Just started, like, what'd they say, 5 years ago or
Something
something?
like that, yeah. Yeah, so, again, so I jumped ahead, so Friday, we did see the daycare, and we delivered rice and beans to 3 homes. We also went to a school for, special ed students, and surprisingly, that's government run, of course, but they had facilities for the kids to stay there overnight, Monday through Friday. They stay at the school, and then they go home on the weekends. And it was really nice. I mean, it kind of looked like a little orphanage of sorts, but it was nicely done. I mean, the rooms were nice and clean, and it was a nice facility, I
They're
gotta
proud
say.
people,
Yeah.
very proud people.
Yeah. And then we also visited a senior center. We were a little later in the afternoon going there, and it was kind of sweet because most of their activities had already ended and people had gone home. But there were seniors that stayed just to meet us and to greet us when we came, so that was kind of touching.
So it's a senior daycare, so you
Yeah.
drop them off in the morning
It's a government facility.
and then they come and pick up their parent or, so it's really sweet.
Yeah, so it was nice they stayed to meet us. On Saturday, we went back to the Jovianos Church, where our pastor Cliff preached, and they served us lunch there, and then we ended up visiting 3 different churches in the area, in some nearby small towns. One was a small Methodist home church. Home church being a small church that you start on your property. The one we went to, the church was kind of a room in front, and then the pastor and his family lived in the back. And that's a growing congregation. That was a Methodist church. And by the way, the Methodist Church in Cuba is its own entity. It's not attached to Global or United. It's just their own Methodist denomination. We also surprisingly visited a Baptist church, which surprised me. I wouldn't have thought they'd be in Cuba, and it was run by a female pastor, which I thought was kind of unusual for Baptists. They had gardens and things, and they even offered us some little plantains that they had grown. So that was kind of cool. And that we also visited a Bethel church in Carlos Rojas, which is a nearby small town. On Sunday, we went to back to the Jovianos church. It's called the Free Evangelical Church, and we met there. And then we had a choice of 3 churches to attend services, and each of our pastors went to a different church to preach. So I happened to stay at the Jovianos church. Did you both meet there too?
I did, he
I
went to a
to
different one.
different one.
Okay, yeah, so we went to the different churches, and then we met back at church, and they served us lunch again. And then at that point, they took us to a shopping area in Varadero, which it's basically just tents. It's not like a shopping mall or anything like that, and they sell like different things they've made, like wooden figures and whatever, t-shirts, of course, things like that,
Hats,
souvenir type
t-shirts,
stuff.
cigars, you know,
So
they gave us 45 minutes to run through it.
Yeah, it was a pretty area. On Monday, our last day, we went to the mission farm. The mission actually has a property where they do some farming, and our job there, we took a little tour, and then we were sweeping up like leaves from all the plants and clearing the land, and the guys were picking it up. And again, like Robert said, they had what were those concrete?
Oh, the dock pilings, you don't know, when the mall's built the 2nd floor, they have cement, and they're called dock pilings. And they literally, when the government explodes the building, get permits, they literally drag those down to a farm. They probably dragged that 20 miles, a bunch of them, to build. Like when they go to build, they'll have a flooring to put on the 2nd level. So
And they drag them how?
with a truck or with a horse and buggy, horses.
Wow.
most of the places are horse and buggy. You'll see a very few, except for in your big towns, very few automobiles. And they don't have electric and water. They walk miles every day or every other day for water. That one picture you see a well that was dug so people could cut they were walking 5 to 6 miles, cut it to 2. Or they have one of the truck guys fill up, or buggies, fill up a big cistern and take it where people can get a couple gallons.
So are the wells, owned by the government?
No, these are on church
Private.
properties.
Oh, church property, okay.
So the church is doing, just like some of us, or some of you have been to Africa and the same thing, they were out there digging wells for people that have to walk. And they have no power. Even like where we were at, the resort, they'll cut that power for 3 to 4 days, just because they want to. So,
Luckily,
just,
it didn't happen to us.
no, and they were very, very surprised. They go, this is the first, and
Did they know you were there maybe?
well, there's mission trips all over. Cuba's not as desolate as people think.
Yeah.
People go there. I was telling my doctor about it. He says his daughter and her friends go there every year.
Yeah.
Not on mission trips. They go there to vacation.
Yeah, they don't go to the places you went to.
No. No. Where we stayed probably.
Yeah.
Because there was French, German, Canadians, all that there. So.
And then while Robert was helping the guys pick up the debris that we were sweeping up with brooms that they made by hand that looked like you could play Quidditch and Harry Potter with.
Oh, yeah.
But they were effective, I gotta
Yeah,
say.
they were
Yeah.
effective.
What did you find in there?
Yeah.
Oh, so we're picking this up, and then the old guy goes, hey, can you do like through interpreter? They wanted all the banana trees, the branches that fell. Well, and so the guys, we got a tarp, and we're filling that up and dragging it, and they're gonna make compost. So they're using everything. So I go, well, the guys go over there, and they're all pretty elderly, and I go, not that I'm young, but they're older than me. And right away, I go, whoa, 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 is there snakes, spiders, anything dangerous? No. And the Spanish guys, no. So we go one branch, and out comes the scorpion. He's hitting it, the Spanish guy's hitting it with the shovel going, very bad, very bad. Okay. So I had to run tell the girls, because they're just sweeping away through the whole thing, so.
A little excitement.
Yeah.
So you sweep carefully.
Very carefully after
I
that.
quit picking up the piles. It's like,
Yeah,
you can-
because everybody's having fun doing it. Because we were complaining that we wanted to work.
do more.
You know, I understand, we were there to spread the word of God. And I'm going to tell you, to be honest, and you guys can vouch, we brought God back from the people.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I went to the one house to give rice and beans on that horse and buggy you seen. And I listened for 15 minutes through an interpreter, more than I could eat, and it was my turn to preach. And when she was done, I go, I can't even do any better than you. I'm going to take all this back home. And I still said a prayer, but oh my Lord, she's just talking about Jesus Christ and how we owe him everything. It wasn't for him and his service for us. And these are people. So that's the spirit. When she says they're dancing before church for 20, 30 minutes.
Even longer.
Yeah,
Singing
an hour.
and dancing.
Now, did you run into people though that weren't Christian? Or was everyone believers?
Well, no, I'm not going to say yes or no, because nobody refused the word.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Okay.
And then through our interpreters, Cuba was a very Christian state.
Yep.
Forever.
Yeah.
From the Spanish. Spanish
Yep.
actually controlled Cuba. So,
Okay.
no interrupt. No.
One of the houses I neglected to mention was, there's a beautiful young woman, she had 3 children, 2 of the children were autistic. And we went kinda out in the country to get to this place where she was living, and as we turned the corner, Janice and I look over and there's 2 oxen pulling a wagon. I'm like, what year is this? Who uses oxen? I can't believe this. So that's something that the mission is really trying to secure housing for her, and so that's why we donate a lot of the money to the mission
Good.
to help secure that housing. And I'm hoping that we can stay in touch with Pastor Cliff and find out when she does get that
Yeah.
housing set up. to-
Those are the dock pilings I was talking about.
Yeah,
They drug those are all cement with horses and from the city. And we're in the country.
20 miles maybe,
yeah.
yeah. Is there any way to continue to send money anywhere or anything like that? Or
The best
can't you
thing-
do that?
Well, you can't mail anything.
Yeah.
You
There's
can't
certainly
mail
no
anything?
Amazon in Cuba,
Yeah.
so,
And,
I'd say the best bet would be, they're gonna be going again next year, same week. So if anybody wants to go next year, we can hook you up with that. And I would say the best thing would be to get money to Pastor Cliff.
Right.
And then he would physically carry it, like when we were getting ready for the trip, they wanted us to bring certain denominations of bills, because if the bills are newer and nicer looking, they get a better exchange rate, so our hundreds had to be nice and crisp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
weird.
Yeah, you go to the bank and say, I need new $100 bills. 'cause
Get the
that's-
iron out.
Yeah,
Well,
for
you-
sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
You
Yeah.
could get anywhere from 350 pesos to 500 pesos.
Per dollar.
Yeah, and they're Cuban pesos, so their own money. But I only exchanged like $30 in American for Cuban pesos, and most of the stuff they would accept American dollars, and credit cards do not work. Supposedly there was one store that allowed it, but yeah, for the most part they don't work.
Might be better not to use them anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, so that Monday, yeah, after we picked up the debris and toured the farm, we had lunch at the
This
Jovianos
is this.
church. Oh, this is.
This is the farm.
Yeah, this is the farm where we were working, clearing up.
Didn't get the scorpion though.
Yeah, he missed the scorpion.
Yeah, we got.
Well, got hit with a shovel, right?
Yeah, big time.
The
Chopped
dead
up.
scorpion, right?
Very bad, very bad.
And there aren't any, right?
No, nothing to be worried about. That was our dinner, that was our protein. Beans and rice.
Beans and rice.
I
Those
don't
are
know
some
if we
pretty
told
big
you that.
piles of
That's-
rice on your plates.
That
Yeah.
was-
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how embarrassed we were to
We
eat
ate
that?
it be-
Those people all around us aren't getting no dinner, no food.
Really?
And then
Oh, my
we're
goodness.
sitting there and we're looking, and we're going, are you kidding me? And you gotta eat that. You have to eat that.
They're giving you their food.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But you got no choice.
Right,
Yeah,
just like,
Offense
And it's a
to-
big
don't wanna
pile,
waste.
and you feel like, I have to eat it all, because that would be,
yeah,
leaving any behind, you know, they're just scraping to eat anything, and it's like, so this big pile, you're eating.
That was a big
all-
pile.
That was a big
Oh.
pile. We could've
I
shared.
did it though, I did it.
I did it too. We're not eating rice for a while.
Oh, I already had rice pudding.
I went to Costco and they had a sample, and I just went and grabbed it, and it was rice, and I'm like, do I really wanna eat this? I can't waste.
I went, they gave us, one day bean soup. We have rice and beans every day, I'm not kidding. And, they gave me bean soup, water bean soup, but hot water. So I have tomatoes and a plant called yucca, and some, I don't know what they were, like cucumbers, but they weren't. So I put them all in my soup, and I'm stirring, everybody's looking like, what are you doing? I'm going, I'm making vegetable bean soup. And everybody, that's a good idea. And I took a couple spoons of rice and had something different. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they eat that every day.
So then, so after the mission farm, we had lunch at the Jovianos church, and then we visited a maternity center. Again, a government-run program where if you have a high-risk pregnancy, you have to go to the center, and they take care of you there. So we met some women there, took some donations. That's where we also went to the special ed school. And then the pastor of the church in Jovianos that we mainly worked out of was married to a medical doctor. And so we stopped by his office to see what that was like, because he also combines not only medicine, but holistic medicine. So we stopped by his office, it looked more like a library, like a little study. a lot of books, small room, and then he even had a table that was held up by chains, and you would lay on the table, and based on how the table would move, he would decide what was wrong with you.
Okay.
So that was different. So that was interesting to see. And then Monday, the mission had us go out to a restaurant and we did a group dinner together. As far as the worship services, like we said, I mean, the singing was incredible, through the roof, and everybody's involved, everybody's into it, they're joyful, and really the church is their lifeline out there. You know, that's what really helps them and fills in all the gaps that the government is obviously not doing. Like we said, Cuban life, people can't afford transportation, so I was surprised by the horse and buggies used. I knew about the cars, but a lot of horse and buggies, and the horses themselves, you could see their ribs, but they weren't skeletal, and it's because they don't get fed grain like our horses do. And you'd be anywhere, and if they didn't have a fair, the horse would be grazing at the side of the road, and there were cattle grazing on the side of the road, and it was kind of weird, you know, it's just like going back in time. Like Robert said, they recycle everything, they throw nothing out. We had a toaster that was very slow working at the place where we were staying, and it was a 2-slice, and I ended up having to switch rooms later in the trip, and in the room there was a 4-slice toaster, and I'm like, I'm gonna be a hero, I'm gonna get a 4-slice toaster. It didn't work, but then another issue was trash. They don't have trash pickup, especially in these rural and these small cities, and people literally throw their trash at the side of the road in a pile, and some of us took longer to realize that. Robert's going, this place is so clean and beautiful, and I'm like, look at all the trash. It was all on
My
the side
side
of the
was
bus. So yeah, they have these trash piles, so sometimes there are trucks that maybe come around and kind of pick up the trash. Other times they just burn it. But because of that trash laying out there in the open, you know, you get a wind, so there's a lot of litter around.
Is there a lot of rats and stuff like that?
Never saw
Never
one.
saw one.
Really?
No.
Lots of chickens,
Not
lots of
saying they're
roosters.
not there, but we never
Right.
seen that.
Probably because they ate the rats.
Probably.
Could
yeah.
be, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time civilization did that.
Yeah, that's all you have to eat.
I mean, they'll have government farms right next to these poor people that have nothing to eat. And I go, well, what stops those? And they go, people don't
People
steal.
don't steal.
You could leave whatever they're laying out, it'll be there when you get back.
Is that because they will chop off your arms and feet and legs?
No, we didn't see, like, we seen 2 cops or 3 cops the whole time we were there. And one came talk to me, it was by her, Center for Disability.
Yeah.
He was there visiting his sister.
Probably the punishments are severe.
I would think
Yeah,
so,
I would
because
think
people
so.
are people. People are, you
The
know,
whole,
people.
thieves and.
the whole
Oh,
time we
yeah.
were there, we didn't feel, we were just living
These
day to
stores
day. We
here.
were not, we felt safe.
Yeah.
We got to Miami to call the family that, you know, we landed and like, they were all, oh my God, we were so worried. And it's like, I felt bad that they were worried. We weren't
Yeah,
worried at
yeah,
all.
nothing.
We felt so safe. We didn't have a worry in the world. Everybody back home was worrying more for us than
I
we were ever
talked to
worried.
the one police officer that I was having a conversation with Renee. He told me that their worst criminal wouldn't touch an American's head, hair on his head. Because you got the biggest fleet sitting right outside our door. And they're talking to America. And I think Jim and Sue looked up and America still supplies Cuba with goods.
Mhm.
They just limit what they can get. So we didn't just turn our back on them. And for whatever feud we had back in the 60s, you know, we're hopefully one day, as you can see in some of these buildings, most of them were built by America. They were prosperous, am I saying that right?
Yes, prosperous.
Civilization at one time, culture. Most of those buildings too, I wanna just go back, were in Havana, were built by us in the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
This was across from the daycare center, this beautiful daycare center, and then you got these horrible.
Are those apartments?
Yeah.
That people
Yeah.
live in, yeah.
Government facility.
And no one owns a drawer. You just hang your clothes everywhere. There's clothes hanging, washing their clothes outside in
This-
a little wringer.
And
This
is
was
the-
a center for, like autistic kids and
that was the
government
school.
Slow
facilities.
learners.
One of your
Slower.
pictures showed clothes hanging, and it looked like it was over the roof height.
Yeah.
Was that just the angle of the camera picture, or how would they even get to those clothes? I looked at that and I told
They
you.
got 'em up there.
You have one house that we went to for delivering beans and rice, it was the 3rd level. And you're walking outside, up to the 3rd level, there's not a railing, it's about this big, and some of our folks that went are 83 years old. So they don't have safety standards like we have in America.
This is the
They
grass.
just build the
people
way
would
they
eat.
need to build.
The horse and cattle would eat.
You asked about animals, and I really enjoyed this. They have some of the cutest dogs in Cuba, and people own these dogs, and some of them had collars, but we never saw a leash. You never saw a person walking a dog. They let these dogs roam freely during the day, and it's hilarious. These dogs are so happy. They're living their best life. Their head is held high, their tail's high. They're walking down the street. They're on a mission. They know what they're doing. They don't want to interact with you because they got a mission. They're going somewhere, doing something, and it was so cute to see. And cats walking around. One came in. We were talking downstairs one time, and at night, and cat came by, petted him for a while, and then he went to the kitchen, see if there's anything to eat, and then he took off and went somewhere else. And
We were
The animals-
awakened by roosters.
yeah, there were plenty of roosters running around, chickens, but surprisingly, the food we ate, like you said, rice and beans, lunch and dinner every day. We did eat yucca, which was surprisingly good, kind of different, but good. There was some kind of sweet potato vegetable, they said.
Yeah, it's like a
That was
potato, right?
Yeah,
Close as I could describe it.
a lot of cabbage and
Bottom of
cucumber
cabbage.
salad,
That's exactly what it tastes like.
Bananas, plantains.
a lot of plantains in many different ways.
Do they ever eat any of the chickens?
And we never seen that.
They ate a lot of pork.
We ate
They served pork, and one day at the church, the one day we had that little piece of chicken, but most things we ate were pork. Now we saw some cows, but we really never had
And
any
I'm not
beef.
sure they're cows, steers, or they're a cross between something.
They were cattle because they had the long horns.
Right, but
Yeah,
they were weird.
yeah. So yeah, we ate a lot of pork.
So do
and it was
they
good.
have a lot of wild hogs there? Is that where they're getting
We
their pork?
didn't go
Oh,
out
we
in
didn't see
there.
no
But the
dogs.
one kid that we talked to, I'm sorry, Luis, he does, him and his family do go to the mountains, and they said they bird hunt and they deer hunt. So they do have deer, wild game,
We didn't see those.
And then
So
people
those
also
lucky
fish.
families have
and they
some meat.
fish.
Yeah.
Which I was a little upset, cause I asked the pastor if I could bring fishing gear for him. And he never really got back, cause I go, you know, you feed them one day, but you teach them how to do something, then they can eat forever, you know? So, and we go, oh, we would've loved that, you know, you can't get stuff like that, you know, not there, so.
You can't go to a store like we need something, we go to the store. They don't have a store that they can really go
Yeah,
to.
you're seeing the stores in these pictures, and that stuff stays out all night, nobody steals it. You know, they have a fence in front, like a wrought iron thing, you can reach in there and grab whatever you want. But just to keep, I guess, cause they sit there behind there, they'll have meat. I didn't see it, I've seen the salami ones and that, and people come up, if they have money, and buy a chunk of meat. These guys seem like
Raw meat.
hanging, and the guy slices off a piece, and you know.
They have a scale, like right out in the open. Not like you go in, it's out on the
It's
street.
a counter on the sidewalk.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were horrified.
Yeah.
One thing too, I mean, besides the joy that these people have, I gotta say, I think I've been kissed more in Cuba than I was kissed in the last 5 years.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
everybody kisses you on your cheek, and they wanna touch you and
Yes.
greet you. It was very sweet. And the people there, you know, you can tell they're in donated clothes, American clothes, whatever. They look so neat and clean. Not like sloppy
Very
Americans.
yeah.
You can
Sure.
tell they just look nice. They're well groomed. They're good looking
Well,
people.
Yep.
Even a lot of the homes we went in,
How
no
do they-
power, no nothing, and they're immaculate.
How do they keep their clothes clean in this environment?
I don't
I
know.
wash them,
I don't
And
know.
everything,
They don't have electricity or anything, just, do
They do have,
Cold
you know,
water
little
and-
water that they get, or, you know.
they make their own soap somehow?
I
If
don't
they
know
don't
about
have
that.
stores?
No, they would use that.
Well, when we were, towards the end of the week, the kitchen crew that had cooked for us was not gonna be there on the weekend. And so they asked, is it possible anybody has any spare toiletries they could offer? It's just so hard to obtain anything. Now, we were walking
Any
around
little
town.
shampoo we had left, any little bit of our bar of soap, they took it all.
Yeah.
Nothing went to waste.
Yeah.
Nothing.
When we were walking around, I was joking that this must be their Meijer. There was this storefront and it had floor-to-ceiling windows, and they sold mattresses and appliances and food. There was so much bare floor space. It was so sparse. It's like, oh, you just can't get what you need, you know?
I
But
was
they do.
joking with these guys, I go, we go to Myers or Kroger's, whatever, and they're out of something, we're mad, we're talking to the manager, why don't you have this? These people wait years to even see something like that. And they, you know, if they can afford it when they come, we built that building in the United States.
Yeah, that's their capital in Havana.
as far as hospitality or getting so many kisses, I was with one of our people that went with us, Renee, and we were just standing outside waiting for the rest of the group. Well, they were serving, the soccer team was having dinner where we were eating, we like ate at our church. And so we're just standing there. They thought that we were like the welcome committee. So they're hugging and kissing us. The whole bus is getting off and we're standing on both sides and they're coming up to us and hugging and kissing. It's like, we enjoyed it. And then it's like, then we start walking away. I'm like, I wonder if they thought we were creepy because we're hugging them. Then we just left to go to the town.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
That's right.
who are these
I
people
remember
that
that night, yeah.
It's like, oh, we don't mind the hugs and the kisses, but they thought we were gonna come and join them, and we just left.
One of the things too that would wake us up at night sometimes was, for one, they had these old planes that would fly low over the city. They were spraying for mosquitoes, and I did get quite a few mosquito bites and a few fly bites. But the disease that mosquitoes carry was more in the east part of the country, so no one had any issues. But during the night, sometimes you'd awaken to petroleum smell. It was very strong enough that it would wake you up. And you would see the petroleum factories, like they'd have the flame going all the time, and so that was kind of weird too.
You might want to ask Sandy where she slept one night.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is being recorded, so let's just say there were some issues, and I ended up, I was in a room with two other women, and me and another woman ended up dragging our mattresses out in the middle of the night and sleeping on a roof.
Open air, nothing
Open air.
covered.
Close to God.
Yes, closer to God.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
Yeah, so any questions or anything? When we get in the congregation, I'm gonna give an update about how much money was donated and where the money went and account and give you an idea of what we took with us and things like that. But any questions about anything or any of the photos or?
Was there any significant watching by government authorities when you were going
No.
through this?
Other than the accounting that Robert talked about.
I mean, we rarely saw, I think we saw, I saw one or two police. Like when you go to Mexico, you see them everywhere. We didn't really
Yeah.
see any, and because they are mission and they have worked with the government, they have a symbol on their car. So when they have stops, they just wave the van through. They don't make a stop.
Yeah, and for some reason, it's a big deal, you can't pick up a worker, because you would see people walking to like a bus stop in the middle of nowhere, and they'd be standing around waiting for a worker bus, and they would see our bus coming, but when they'd see the church symbol, then they knew that they couldn't get on our bus, and it's apparently a huge penalty if you do pick
So
someone.
do they have a lot of, do they have checkpoints then? Certain
Yes.
checkpoints?
Yes, sir, not a lot. I mean, in 2.5 hours, we ran into two.
Yeah,
Two.
but like you said, with the church bus, they just wave us through.
Now, do they set them up in different areas? I don't know. They
Could,
could have,
yeah.
because they were in cars, they just block off the road, you know. But we do that here in Montana during hunting season. you have checkpoints, they check for you, they have license, similar to that, you never know where they're at.
Were you discouraged or encouraged to share about Jesus in general?
Very encouraged,
Encouraged.
those people encouraged us.
Yeah.
Yeah. they really
Seriously,
did.
we went there, I went there to work, and I complained every day about not being able to work. And, but, like I said, the one, it was my turn to do the, preaching at the one house. And all I did was listen for 15 minutes, and I went, holy, I don't know if I got anything left. Those people were so involved in Jesus. I said, I'm taking things home.
They're very welcomed, never felt like,
This is the church we were at right there. This church. But yeah. And one thing I might want to share with you in Cuban culture, there is no original Cubans left. They were worked to death by Spaniards. Spaniards went to Africa, brought breeders over to breed with the people that were left. So everything is interbred. Some of the women, at one point, the indigenous people literally jumped off a cliff pregnant because they didn't want to swim. And according to our interpreter guy, they have a sign, a monument to that. So the pure Cuban nationality is just not there.
Yeah, the people are quite a mix. You have, what I would say people like from Jamaica, dark skinned, you get Africans, you have Latinos, and you have Europeans too. The man who was our main translator from the mission, Juan Alberto, I looked at him and at one point I said, you're Cuban, but what's your family background? Where'd they come from? And he said they came from Spain. I'm like, yeah, you don't look like what I would consider a Cuban to look like. But yeah, Cuban has many different faces.
Just thought I want to share that.
It's interesting.
And again, thank you for your donations. I mean,
And your prayers. I heard there's some intense praying going on for us.
Every
So
day.
thank you.
You three and the rest.
Yes, we truly appreciate that, yeah.
I might want to say something too about, like, a lot of people think communists, you're dictated to a job, a career. It's not all that true. It's, if you do good in school, you can be anything you want, anything. And they pay for it all.
Does everybody go to school?
Everybody,
goes to school.
everybody. They are picked up on horse and buggy, whatever, and everybody goes to school. That is a must. How you do determines your fate. If you just go there, goof off, then they assign you a job. The one guy we were with, he's going to be a doctor. He does very good in school. His parents make him learn. So he wants to be a doctor. And then other people that we talk to are they have their own businesses because they went to school, then all the government pays for everything, and we'll set you up in a business and get you started.
And they pay for college too, so medical school is all covered.
How is the government funded? Are businesses taxed, is there any
Oh, yeah.
individual income tax, or?
Well, there's no income basically, but you're given, like Canada, they take everything out of the people, they have these areas, like we were saying, these people are walking and taking their horses or being dropped off in a buggy, then they commute them to the big cities to work or to the factories to work, and they drop them off. It's all day. They make $4 to $5 American a week.
So, but, again, where is the majors, maybe this is a question that's not easily answered, but what is the major income source for the government?
I would say by exploiting the people on their workforce, and most of that is tax, 65 to 70% goes to pay for all your health, your schooling, and whatever else.
And what about industry or businesses there, do they pay any kind of a business tax to be able to have a business in Cuba that will fund the government?
I would think, I don't know. I would think, cause a lot of businesses are forbidden, they won't go there and have shut down because of the United States embargo on it. Canada has a place in there, it's called, International Entertainment Association. They supply all the stuff for every hotel in Cuba. So it's a complex, people do their shift there to work. You know, then the house, the cleaning and that of these hotels.
And tourism is big there, right? But for other
Tourism
countries,
is huge,
not-
yeah.
It
that's
has
a
dropped
big-
off though because of what's going on.
Sure.
So, like a lot of Canadians do go there as a resort area, but their tourism is all.
Now, you mentioned you were staying at a resort, and other people were there, that wasn't where tourists go?
Yeah.
It was,
The peninsula is considered a resort area,
Yes.
but not,
We didn't
not
stay in a
your building.
resort
not our building.
No,
There's a
our building was an
picture.
extension of the church,
of a
Got
church.
it.
It's
but
like
we
a
had to
dormitory.
pay to stay there,
Right,
you know. for-
But it was located in the resort area.
Yeah,
got it.
So when we walked down the street, which 2 blocks we were on the beach, so
No,
one
it was
block
nice.
was the main drag. French, German, Canadians, they're all, the bars are partying, the people, or as much, and just like anything, it was Thursday through Saturday night, Sunday afternoon.
yeah.
They all pile in, then the place is a desert, you know, Monday through Wednesday, people start. I mean, all the houses, you hear the music playing and, you know.
One thing we learned was that, the original plan was to have a Las Vegas type area built in Cuba on that resort area. But then with the political climate changing, it all fell through.
I saw that on The Godfather.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was, actually, they said it was Capone and Lefty, whatever his name, the guys that started Vegas.
All the mafia.
So when all this stuff went down in Cuba, so they moved to Vegas,
Yeah,
started
it's
Vegas.
supposed to be in Cuba.
And so,
And thank you, Jim, for doing all our slides.
Yes,
Jim did all
thank
that.
you.
for-
Welcome.
Appreciate that
Appreciate you,
very
Jim.
much. Anything else? Anybody? All right, well, we'll have a little clip in the congregation service. Like I said, we'll explain where the donations exactly went and where all the money was spent. Thank you for listening.